Frankie, welcome to the show. We just want to thank you for calling into Cage Religion Radio here on our one-year anniversary show.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, getting started, you kicked off the year with a draw to Gray Maynard at UFC 125. Draws seem to be getting more common in MMA as of late. What, in your opinion, can be done to avoid these kind of things? I mean, is it more of a judging issue, or should there be maybe something as such as a tiebreaker round, maybe?
You know what? I don't know. Someone brought that up in the past about a tiebreaker round. I mean, I'd be cool with that. I wouldn't mind fighting a little extra. Kind of like an overtime round or something like that. But I don't know how commissions feel about legalizing that. But yeah, it's tough. What it is guys are just competitive now, and you're going to see it. You're going to see it happen.
Now, in fact, one of your training partners, Ricardo Almeida, just retired from MMA actually, and is in the process currently of becoming a judge. How much would the sport benefit in terms of having former fighters in the judging positions?
I think it's huge. Actually, I said that in the past. The sport's still young, and I think as the sport goes on, you're going to see a lot more fighters, taking that lead and becoming MMA judges like Ricardo did. Being in there and be doing it in the past, you get experiences that judges who haven't been in there don't get see. So, when that comes about, and situations come, fights that they've been there before, or they're a little more accustomed to than to say a judge that has never fought before, I think they'll be better suited to make decisions.
Now, going back to Gray, you guys are set to square off, obviously, one more time in the trilogy here coming up at UFC 130 next month. At this point, having gone a total of 8 rounds with Gray in the past, does it make this camp a bit easier in the sense, being as though you've had so much experience training for him in the past?
I don't think it's any easier or harder. It's a fight camp. There's always that grind. The fact that we're gonna have to come up with a game plan. We're gonna have to kind of guess what his game plan is gonna be. There's always the issues of the unknown when you go into a fight. But being the fact that I've been in there with him for 8 rounds, I guess it's good to know that I can handle what he brings to the table. But then again, he's also seen me for 8 rounds.
Now, Gray Maynard stands as the only loss on your record in your career thus far. How important is it to you to avenge that loss?
You know what? I want to win my next fight, and that's the bottom line. He has a win and now a draw with me. So, do I want to fight bad? Yeah, but I want every single fight bad. So it doesn't really matter to me. My next fight, I want to win it just as bad as I want to win the rest of all my other fights.
Changing gears a bit, Strikeforce lightweight champion Gilbert Melendez called for a title unification bout after his win last weekend over Tatsuya Kawajiri. Is that something that you see as a possibility in the future, champion versus champion bouts?
Yeah, I'm sure the UFC, has got some plans in store. I mean, it makes sense. In the past, you had those just the argument of who was the top guy, and now, since we're on to the Zuffa banner, I'm sure we'll see some of those matches happening.
You've had a big 2011 so far, Frankie, gracing the cover of UFC magazine. You're widely considered a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter, 2 title defenses in 6 months. You've really arrived, so to speak. Aside from all the attention, how much pressure comes along in your experience with being a UFC champion?
Being new to this, I'm just taking it in stride, I'm trying not to get caught up with all the pressure. I noticed in my career that the further you get along after each win, the pressure gets heavier and heavier. So, I'm just taking it, as it comes. I don't really let it get to me, I guess you could say. If anything, I use the pressure as motivation. It motivates me to come better and sharpen my skills as the more I go on.
Now, that being said, Frankie, I mean, I know a lot of trainers and fighters specifically say that there's more pressure and it's more difficult to defend the title as opposed to actually winning the title. In your experience, does that hold true?
Pressure's pressure. To me, it don't matter either or. I think that the more pressure I feel in the situation that you're in right now, that's the most pressure you're going to feel. I'm sure, 6 months or whatever down the road, if I'm in another situation, I'm going to feel like that's more pressure. So I think it's just whatever situation you're in feels like the worst.
Now, before we get going, I must say your UFC 125 walkout shirt may have been one of the coolest shirts I've seen in some time. Why don't you tell the listeners where they can pick one of those shirts up at?
Yeah, you can pick them up at FrankieEdgar.com, my website, and we'll ship them out to you pretty fast. They're pretty cool shirts. Pretty good idea.
And Frankie, once more, we just want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule, calling into Cage Religion Radio. Again, with you and Shane Carwin, you guys really helped make this a great show. So again, we appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Take care.